everyone. Thank you for your patience as we had a few technical difficulties. My name is Jeff Carson. I'm serving as chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals. I want to welcome you all. We have the following introductions, or I have the following introductions to make. First of all, here in the chambers with me is Commissioner Beth. Online, we have Commissioner James Ernst, Commissioner Mark Moeller, Commissioner and Vice Chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals, Karen Jones, Commissioner Aaron Ward, Commissioner Jake Miller, and Commissioner Beverly Easterwood. Did I leave anyone off? Also with us tonight, we have Janet Parker, who's the Executive Assistant to the Department of Land Use and Urban Planning. Gunnar Hand, who is the Director of the Department of Land Use and Urban Planning. And we also have Michael Farley with the Unified Government Legal Department. So with that, I will turn it over to Janet Parker, who will read the opening statement for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would like to welcome those participating by telephone, Zoom, or in the Commission chamber to the meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Members of the Board of Zoning Appeals are participating remotely by Zoom or are present in the Commission chamber, and Mr. Jeff Carson is serving as chairman this evening. Please note the following instructions for the meeting. If you are joining by Zoom video, please make sure you have an appropriate background. Board members that are participating by Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature when you want to speak. And after Chairman Carson recognizes you, please unmute your microphone and state your name when you begin to speak. If you are in the Commission chamber, please state your name before speaking once the chairman recognizes you. For those members of the public attending the meeting virtually this evening, please use the raise your hand feature if you want to speak on an application. If you are present in the Commission chamber, please come to the microphone at the front of the room when the application is called. After the chairman recognizes you, please state your name and address and make your comments. If you are having issues getting in the Zoom meeting, please email planninginfo@wicokck.org and let Secretary Parker know. Proper meeting decorum is expected of all participating in the meeting, and anyone who fails to act properly will be removed from the meeting. The city reserves the right to discontinue a meeting if any improper behavior occurs, which prevents the uninterrupted conduct of business. The format for this evening's meeting is as follows. The applicant will make the opening statement explaining the proposal. The applicant will be given 15 minutes to present their case, which includes the applicant, consultants, and other members of the applicant's team. Members of the board will then address any questions they may have to the applicant. Any persons wishing to speak in favor will be recognized and allowed to do so at that time. Then those persons in opposition will be recognized to make their statements and ask questions, with each member of the public being given 5 minutes to express their opinions. Time may not be shared between speakers. A speaker's time may be extended in 5-minute intervals by a 2/3 majority vote of the board. The chairman will ask for a show of hands of people who are in support or opposition that did not speak. The applicant will then answer questions and make a closing statement. The public hearing portion of the meeting will be closed, and the public will only be allowed to address the board if a question is directed to them. The staff will make their recommendation, and the board will discuss the application and make their decision with a brief statement of the reason for the motion preceding the making of the motion. Motions to approve shall include the staff conditions unless otherwise stated in the motion. Our first application is BOZA 2024-030, Amy Grant with Polsonelli.
Yes,
Sorry,
sir.
Mr. Chairman.
That's all right. I thought you had some more.
Does any member of the board have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
No.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead now. Yes,
Can
sir.
you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank
Okay.
you. I know that's been the question of the evening so far.
My name is Richard Napper. Thank you for the time this evening. I'm here on behalf of the Homefield Master Plan, as well as Homefield as a partner in the Atlas 9 Immersive Museum. With me this evening with Dimensional Innovations, our partner in Atlas 9 is Tucker Trotter, and Kirk Peterson, our counsel, not only on the home field master plan, but the Atlas 9 building as well. Several months ago, you may recall, I was in front of the Planning Commission and we were discussing this Atlas 9 asset. And it's a very unique asset. It's a special building, and the building does not fit inside any design box. It is very unique. It is very iconic. And the story of Atlas 9, the interior and the exterior cannot be divorced. It's one story. And following our presentation several months ago, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to approve our PDP. And we moved on Board of County Commissioners. We were approved, and then we were approved a final development plan. We have since then been hard at work. The building is well under construction. This is a $30 million asset in the middle of an $850 million STAR bond master plan. The Atlas 9 facility, similar to the Margaritaville resort, similar to Top Golf when I was in front of you all for that not too many months ago, similar to the home field buildings. These are unique destination development assets. They do not fit in a design box, and that's a good thing. These are assets that this community in the state of Kansas and we as the development entity are very proud of, and it's something special and unique. So since our PDP approval and the construction start, and knowing that we'll be opening for business in the summer of 2025, we have been hard at work on finishing the design on the interior with the artists, the architects, the design team, the operators, as well as doing the finishing touches on the exterior of the building. For when you drive by and you see this unique asset, people are going to ask, what is that building? And they're going to want to come into that building. And for us, the finishing touch is a signage package. The signage must speak to the building, and it must speak to the uniqueness of this asset and, frankly, the coolness of this asset. This would have been one that had been very easy to, okay, let's just put some signs on the building. Let's just put some monument signs and call it a day. That would not be fair to this development, to this asset, to this community that approved a unique, iconic building, that approved this large master plan. It needs to be something special like the rest of the master plan. So I'm not here tonight asking for a variance to do something less with the signage, to cheapen the signage, to do bad signage. I'm here requesting your approval on 3 variances to make the signage robust, unique, iconic, identifiable, something that when people drive by, it further begs the question, what is that? How cool is that? Let's go into the building. So we do have 3 variance requests, and we've worked very hard with staff on this. And of the 3, 2 are really related to one another. One is the size of our monument signs, and one is the number of the monument signs. And we think the size and the number fit the scale of this development of this project perfectly. The third variant, and so again, those are kind of tied together, number of monument signs and size of monument signs. The third variance request is on the west facade of the building and the north facade of the building. I believe it's been termed in staff's report as a mural. And it's the letter A and the number 9. It says A9. And it's big and it's prominent. In our opinion, it's really neat. And we think that that mural on the side of the building, the north facade and the west facade, just furthers the uniqueness, the iconic nature of this building. So we do have a short presentation, a short slideshow to show these monuments and this mural, where they are, what they look like, where they are, and then a few other examples of very iconic, unique signage, not only in this country, but around the world. And with that, upon completion of viewing this, we would ask for your approval of the 3 variances we've requested to really wrap up the entire exterior design feature on the Atlas 9 Immersive Museum. Gunnar, if you wouldn't mind thumbing through, or whoever has them. So here's a copy of one of the monument signs. Again, you can see that it is larger than what your normal monument sign would be. You'd like the thumb through again, please. Another shot of the monument sign. Again, another shot. One more. And then these are examples, again, when you look at, these are examples of other unique signage of other immersive museums and other museums around the world, whether it be the Meow Wolf with the wolf that is quite large, or Meow Wolf in Santa Fe, the Robot Man, Pixar Studios, and again, other examples of unique signage at destination iconic museum attractions around the country. One more, Gunnar. Again, Shuttlecock at the Nelson Atkins is another example. And then at the Boston Seaport, this is our third monument sign, which again emulates the other large monuments from the other examples we just saw around the country. Again, just further artwork that may be placed on the site. This is a legend as to where the three monuments would be. One would be at the northern entrance of the building, the other monument at the southern entrance of the building on State Avenue, and then the third monument at the corner of 98th in State Avenue. As I said before, the murals that say A9 on the north facade of the building and on the west facade of the building. And again, I believe, and I can't speak for Gunnar, but I believe the monument signs, the number and the size, I believe staff is fully supportive of those. Staff has not indicated their support for the murals, but we would be asking for your support on the murals on the north facade and the west facade, as well as the monument signs, please. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions. And again, thank you very much for your time.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, I've got one from, 1 second. Commissioner Easterwood.
Yes, the signs that have the pizza, are those, I mean, is that just for illustration purposes, or are all these Atlas 9 signs gonna advertise pizza?
That is for the restaurant inside of the museum.
So they will look like the ones that were pictured in the display.
Yes.
All right.
So it will be the logo of whatever the restaurant is, not necessarily that red and white that doesn't really necessarily go with the color scheme of the rest of the sign?
It's the logo of the restaurant. It is as depicted on the picture we just showed. And again, that is for our restaurant inside of our museum that we operate.
But it's a franchise or it's not an Atlas pizza place.
It's ours.
It
It's
is
ours.
All right.
It is operated by Atlas 9, by the museum. It's not Domino's
Okay.
or Papa John's, with all due respect to both of those.
And that is the logo.
It is operated by the Atlas 9 joint venture that operates the museums. Look, we know there'll be a lot of food and beverage, and this is great, again, when families come from either the sports facilities or from Margaritaville or from wherever, to have the food and beverage options inside the museum, we think is a great benefit. And also, again, we are a star bond district, so the sales tax is important to create a lot of sales tax. So it is our own food and beverage operation inside of the museum.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Easterwood, that answer your question?
Yes,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you. Commissioner Beth?
Yeah, well, I agree. The signage you have out there for the construction has brought a lot of interest and questions of what is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, the signs do make a difference. The question I have is do you have an example of what the murals look like?
We do. It might be difficult to pick out on this big screen, but I don't know, Gunner's the way to. On my small computer screen, it's easy to see it's an A and a 9 on that side of the building, and it's about from ground level to near the top. It's not picking up very well on this screen.
So they
There
would
we
just be like the A9 attached to the building and stuff. It's not going to be like graffiti type mural things, right?
No.
Okay.
It's only being classified as a mural, but it's technically signage, but you're classifying it as mural, correct?
It's intentionally subtle
All right.
from
Okay.
the design expert.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones.
I have a piggyback question onto that. So the subtlety is intended, we're not supposed to see that good. It's like a shadow when I look at it.
Can you rephrase the
Is that-
question? I'm sorry, the shadow.
Yeah, my question is that A9, what I see on the building, it looks like a shadow of an A9? Or is it supposed to be a color? Is that like a true picture of what it's really going to look like?
It is intended to be subtle, and again, I guess it is kind of a shadow. Yes, it's not a strobe light mural sign on the side of the building. It is very subtle and blends into the facade.
So for variance 3, that's what we're talking about then, the mural, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so my question is then, it sounds like, and thank you for working with staff on trying to come to resolution, but it sounds like for a couple of the variances, you came to some good resolution with staff, but on this third one, my question is, were there any options that were talked about, you and staff, as opposed to what the variance is about?
I think we're going to hear from staff in just a minute, Commissioner Jones, but do you have anything you want to add to that?
Right,
Again, we view that, again, the subtle mural to be an important part of the facade of the building. And yes, I know Dimensional Innovations worked extensively with planning staff on other options. And this is one that we felt was important to the facade. And so we'd like to have it approved as we've submitted it.
So what is your perspective? Because thank you, Chairman Carson, that was exactly what I wanted to know, his perspective. But what is your perspective on what you think that adds?
We think,
Sounds
again,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
it adds character to the building. And again, it's an identifying marker for the building on both facades. Again, it's just something that adds further character, further uniqueness, further intrigue. And again, to have people that might be walking around in some city 500 miles from now and be talking about the A9, the Atlas 9, the A9, it just gives more definition and another terminology for this museum sitting here in the middle of the Homefield project in Wyandotte County and state of Kansas.
Got it, thank you.
I'm assuming it's part of just your branding initiative.
It really is.
All right.
Branding is probably the perfect word for it.
All right, thank you. Other questions from the commission? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, raise your hand if you're online, come to the microphone if you're in the chambers. Seeing neither, we'll go to Director Hannah, get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this variance is 3 variances for the Atlas 9 signage package for number of monument signs. As it sits on an intersection, they're allowed 2 monument signs. They're requesting 3, as well as the size of those monument signs, all greater than what they're allowed individually and cumulatively. The third sign is related to the mural. There's a certain percentage allowed in murals for type font, i.e. Letters and words in an advertisement. As the mural proposed is all type font, they're requesting 100% of the mural be type font, whereas only 20% is allowed by the code. This is in the Prairie, Delaware Piper Area Plan. Staff has received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There's some older notice of violations on the property as it was previously undeveloped or from when it was vacant. Staff does recommend approval of variances 1 and 2 and denial of variance number 3. We do have conditions of approval if need be. There are also conditions of approval. They're the same batch for variances 1 and 2. I would note that if the Board of Zoning Appeals does want to move forward with variance 3 as is, we would have to amend the conditions of approval to strike condition number 1, I believe, which basically says design the mural to code, thereby negating the variance you may want to approve this evening. The only thing I would mention other than that is the content of the signs, what's in those sign cabinets can change. Just because it looks like it does today, it doesn't mean that's going to be the brand, the font, the anything that is tomorrow. So the Board of Zoning approval is basically approving the baseline or the foundation by which future signage can occur at this site. So for the mural specifically, allowing 100% type font means that whole side of that building one day could be type font.
All right, does that conclude your comments? All right, thank you. Questions for Director Hand? All right, I'm not seeing any. I'll stand for a motion when you are ready. Any clarification needed? No questions, no clarifications. I just need a motion.
Commissioner Ward.
Commissioner Ward, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm dealing with a nosebleed, but I'm going to try to get through this. I move to approve BOZA 2024-030 variances 1 through 3.
As presented?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Point of clarification, if the motion is to allow the mural to move forward as designed, the motion should strike condition number 1.
I'd be okay with that then. That's fine.
All right, motion made to approve BOZA application 2024-030 variances 1 and 2 and 3, striking condition number 1 of variance number 3. Is that correct, Gunnar? Janet, you got that?
Yes, I do.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Beth. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller,
Aye.
Schwartz. I'm sorry, I
So
thought I saw.
think Commissioner Schwartz is not here.
Oh, okay. And Ward.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to approve this application for all 3 variances, subject to the conditions in the staff report with striking condition number 1, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
All right, thank you.
Our next application is BOZA 2024-031, Anthony Gokul, for property at 2425 South 55th Street. Does any member of the board have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Is the applicant in the audience or online? If you are, please raise your hand. Anthony Gokul? Okay, sir, I've got you queued up, ready to speak. If you would, please give us your name and address and tell us what you'd like to do here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh yeah, sorry I'm not as exciting as a museum, but yeah, so I'm trying to build a
Go ahead and give us your name and address, please, if you would.
Anthony Gokul, 2425 South 55th Street, Kansas City, Kansas 66106.
Thank you. Now go ahead and tell us what you'd like to do.
I would like to build a outbuilding to store my vehicles, spend time with my son, things like that. It is, although it's bigger than 1,000 square foot at 2560, I do have like 2.7 or 2.8 acres. So the size of the structure compared to the plot of land is like still very, very small. The other 2 variances that I would like to appeal are the one is the number of structures. I do have an existing carport currently at the property. Again, that's not visible to the street or anything like that. I have a very unique property. It was custom built, you know, on a plot of land. You know, it's got septic and everything like that. So it's a kind of unique structure compared to a lot of the neighboring houses. Like it's not like visible from the street. There's almost 100 foot of elevation. And then the third variance is going to be building it in my quote unquote front yard. And although it would I guess legally be considered my front yard, the very edge of my property sits, I think, right around 160 foot from the front of the street. So you can't even see my house from the street. It sits way back from the road with about a little bit over 100 foot of elevation change. So there's a lot of very, very steep driveway going up to my house. You can't see anything from the road. And to put it I guess behind my property would be very difficult because there's septic lines and it would just really just make the entire project not even happen.
Okay, anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, and what's the issue with removing the carport or moving the structure to where it could sit in that area? If you remove the carport, is that a possibility?
No, it wouldn't be possible at all. And then the only location other than that it could go on my property, if I did put it in the backyard, it would be, it would probably require, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in grading work, retaining walls. I'd have to completely redo my septic system. It just would not even be possible. The carport really is not a big issue, but I don't think that there's anybody that you can't see my carport from the road or anything like that. It's just extra, kind of storage. It's nice to put a lawnmower under there or something like that. None of my neighbors can see the carport or anything like that. They can't see the roof line of it or anything like that.
But the area in which the carport sits, and then also there's a boat in the photographs that we have, that would be sufficient enough to put the building on. Is that correct? It's a flat surface?
That would not be, no. That's maybe a
I know
couple.
you keep telling me no, but you haven't given me a reason why the answer is no.
If
where
you
you want it?
overlaid the building, it would just not be possible to have 3 entry doors and again tons of grading work and things like that you just couldn't put a 64 by 40 building there.
Okay. It appears that there's more than enough room to do that, but okay. Other questions for the applicant? Okay, we'll go to the audience. Anyone want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Raise your hand if you're online. If you're in person, come to the microphone. Okay, seeing none, we'll go to Director Hannah, get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this is a variance for the size, number, and location of an accessory structure. This is in the Plan KCK Turner area. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are no notices of violation on the property. Staff recommends denial. There are conditions of approval if need be, depending on if the Board of Zoning Appeals wants to move forward with approval. We may also need to talk through some of those conditions accordingly.
All right, thank you. Do you believe that there's another way to do this without putting the building in what is considered to be the front yard? I know we've had these come up before and we've denied similar applications for requests of accessory structures in front of the house.
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. As it relates to the size of the accessory structure and the number, again, in this zone district, only one is allowed. The request is to keep the carport existing and to build a new one. The size, while it exceeds the square footage, staff also looks to the point the applicant made at the percentage coverage. So for much smaller parcels, there's also typically a percentage of open space that has to remain on a property, and that is designated at 30%. So this is well under the 30%, so it's less of a burden, if you will, in staff's mind for the accessory structure size. It's used for personal reasons, which is fine. It's not necessarily meant to maintain the property, so on and so forth, which could potentially be a factor, but from all the information that we have and from the elevations we see on the site, we do believe that it could be sited in a different location. Our only concern is that at this location, you probably could see this building from the street, even with the elevation change from the street up to this property. Because it's in the front yard, I mean, staff has been working with the applicant to try to effectively, and then our conditions of approval reflect that, is to essentially put the proposed accessory structure where the current carport is and make sure that it stays behind that line. If you can see in this picture, you know, a lot of houses face the street, the line of the street. This one's at an angle. So as long as the accessory structure is behind that plane on that edge of the building, of the main structure, either in the side yard or the front or the rear yard, but staff doesn't have an issue. So that's has consistently been our recommendation.
All right, thank you. Questions for staff? Commissioner Ernst.
If we deny this as is, Gunner, can he come back with a different iteration? It is a very unique situation, and his front yard is not anything anyone can see. I drive by it every day. If he was willing to work with you and change it, can he come back with something different?
Gunner Hand, Director of Planning and Design. I mean, if you denied basically where it is today, and then he would have to resubmit a Board of Zoning Appeals for a new, essentially, site plan or plot plan. I think you could do that, or you could hold it over for 30 days and tell him to do that with us. To
And
revise and resubmit, essentially.
That would be an easier path for the applicant, correct?
It'd be a cheaper, easier for everybody.
All right.
If that's the direction you wanted to give the applicant, we could try to find another location.
Commissioner Ernst, does that satisfy your question?
It does, and I'm willing to suggest what Gunner just said, that we
Okay,
hold it over and he worked with staff.
Okay, I've got one other commissioner who would like to make a comment. Commissioner Jones.
Oh, I'm sorry, that wasn't a comment. That was just is what I was thinking on the holdover, and so I was ready to do a second.
All right, so any further questions? Seeing none, Commissioner Ernst, did you have a motion?
Move to hold it over for 30 days so that the applicant can work with staff to find a more amenable spot.
All right, thank you. Motion to hold over this application, BOZA 2024-031, for a period of 30 days for the applicant and staff to work on another location for the building, made by Commissioner Ernst. Is that a second, Commissioner Jones?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller,
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to hold over this application to the January 13, 2025 meeting for the applicant and staff to work together to find a better location for this building passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gokel. If you'll just reach out to staff tomorrow, we'll get you on a path. Hopefully we can get something worked out. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before I call our next application, would you like to make an announcement about
Yes.
okay.
Yes, for those of you here for the City Planning Commission, we are running a couple of minutes behind for the Board of Zoning Appeals. So as soon as we finish this agenda, we will take about a 5-minute break, and then we'll come in and we'll get that Planning Commission started as soon as possible. Thank you all for your patience.
Our next application is BOZA 2024-032, Stan Beard, for property at 601 Village West Parkway. Does any member of the board have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Beard? Yes, sir. Go ahead and come on up. Give us your name and address, please, and tell us what you'd like to do.
My name is Stan Beard, Director of Development and Real Estate for Buc-ee's, 327 FM 2004, Lake Jackson, Texas.
All right, great. What would you like to do?
I'm here to ask the board for variances in size and height of my signage. This is what we hope to be the last step in a few hearings and approvals. And so I'd love to show y'all what we're proposing.
You're wanting to build a small convenience store out on
Just-
the highway, right?
We're just, so, as you know, we are wanting to build a fairly sizable family travel center at Village West Parkway. And as we have discussed over the past few months for the development agreement and all that kind of stuff, we count on visibility from the freeway to give our customers who, quite frankly, probably know they're already headed that way. But we want to make sure that when they see the exit that they're told they can take, we want them to be able to see the iconic, to borrow the earlier words, the Buc-ee's lollipop, as we call it. And we want to make sure that they see the Kansas City city panel, as we call it. So that is our main variance request. And then we're asking for a what I would call a minor variance on the building signage. But this is sort of backwards. Usually Gunner would go first, right? Or, I mean, not in this world, right? But so do you want me to go through the slides, or how do you want me to do that?
Yeah, why don't you explain to us what you want, and then we'll go together.
Okay.
You're in my world today, so.
Can you, I like it. I like it. So this is our site plan. We are, if you're looking, well, north-south, north up top, the freeway is below us, bottom of page. Our pylon sign is where it's indicated right there. We are actually replacing an existing pylon sign that the what do we call that? The Legends, the Village West folks put up, well, the UG with the UG put up to advertise some of the bigger stores on the other side. We just left a meeting earlier that will replace that signage with other more in our minds valuable signage to them, and allow us to replace that sign, which is I think Gunner may get to this, hopefully, is that the sign area for our sign that we're requesting is I believe smaller than what is currently in place. And then we are asking for a height of 30 feet taller than what is currently in place. And the reason we're asking for that is because going westbound, you could not see the sign unless it is that tall. And so it's critical for us, branding. Folks are used to seeing the big Buc-ee's sign. I mean, that's kind of a part of the trip. Most of our visitors are coming from well outside of the city, the county, and in this case, the state. So we want to make sure that everybody knows where we are and sees us. And so that's what we're asking for here.
Okay. And would that sign be visible from 435?
It will not be.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering what the height would it be?
Right. It
All
will
right.
not be.
All right.
We're asked, the height that we're asking for is actually a minimum to get us seen westbound. Eastbound, we're out of luck. So we've just chosen to put our stakes in the westbound view.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, please come forward. If you're in the chambers, if you're online, raise your hand. Seeing no one, we'll go ahead and get Director Hand's comments on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is 4 variances for the Buc-ee's sign package. related to the height and size of their monument sign, as well as the amount and size of wall signs on the main building. This is in the Perry Delaware Piper Area Plan. Staff received no letters of support, no letters in opposition. There are no notices of violation on this property. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
All right, thank you. Questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion. Commissioner Jones?
Motion to approve BOZA case number 2024-032, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
And that's variances 1 through 4, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Is that a second, Commissioner Ernst? Thank you. Motion made for approval by Commissioner Jones and seconded by Commissioner Ernst. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller,
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to approve the variance for BOZA 2024-032, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Thank you to you. Good luck.
Thanks, y'all.
Mr. Chairman, our last application for this agenda is BOZA 2024-033, Maria Romo, for property at 418 North 7th Street Traffic Way. Does any member of the board have any contact to disclose with regard to this application?
No.
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 Thank you.
All right, Ms. Romo, are you in the audience? Go ahead, please come on up. If you would, give us your name and address and tell us what you'd like to do.
Yes. My name is Maria Romo. My address is 418 North 7th Street, Kansas City, Kansas 66101. The reason I'm here is because I'm building a deck on the side of my property that is on top of existing deck that was there when I bought it. And appears like it's over the size that the city permitted. And also, when I take the survey, I noticed that it's passing my property a few foot on the line of the church property parking lot. And I asked to keep the building of the deck, trying to rebuild the stairs that are oversizing the limits of my property to make a fit on the size that are permitted. And it's pretty much it. I'm here to asking keeping me to build the deck.
Okay, now you've already started the deck construction, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you get a building permit at that time?
No, I don't get the permit because I ignored that I need a permit since it's a building and on top of the existing one. But when I started, the city comes and I went to the building permit inspection, and they make me to take a survey. And after that, the surveyor told me that it was over the limit of my property, and they sent me to variance to ask him for keeping the deck and constructing under the city ordinances and the zoning.
Okay, so the deck that you're building goes over your property line, extends over your property line? No, it does not. Gunner saying no. All right,
No.
thank you. All right. Anything else you want to add? What's the purpose of the deck coming out of the second floor?
It's just to using as a second exit from the upper level of my house. Used to using as easy exit in case of fire or something, and also in the um, in the spring or summer to go out and take air fresh, on the top of my house.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it.
But as a single family house, or you're not running a business there or anything like that?
I running a business, but it's a tax preparation business and bookkeeping. But most of the clients that I have, I'm going through them, and also online attendance. It's not like they come and they make something that affect the neighborhood,
Okay, but you're living in the house too. It's your house?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have a business license for your bookkeeping business?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let me see if there's any other questions for you. Anyone else have any additional questions? Okay, I'm seeing no one. We'll go ahead and go to the audience. Anyone in the audience want to speak? I have Wardell Watkins. Mr. Watkins, are you wanting to speak on this case? Wardell Watkins. One more time. Mr. Watkins, I need you to unmute yourself. Wardell Watkins.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now. Yes, go ahead, sir. Give us your name and address, please.
My name is Wardell Watkins, and my address is 408 North 7th Street. And I was just seeing about this property, and she got the poles on my property line, right there on my property line.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that for us?
I believe that her poles that hold the deck up is right there on my property line.
Okay, so you're saying the posts are on your property or on the
Yeah.
property line?
On the line, right
Okay.
on the line. You're supposed to have an easement there.
All right. And what are you speaking in opposition to allowing the deck to remain?
No, I don't want it to remain. I want it to be moved back in some.
Okay, so you're speaking in opposition to this request, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's about it.
Your contention is that it's on the property line and on the property line, correct?
Yes, it's on my property line.
All right, thank you. Anyone else want to speak to this case? Mazzella Jenkins?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Give me your name and address, please.
My name is Mozella Jenkins. My address is 405 North 7th Street. And I just wanted to clarify for Pastor Watkins, the church owns the property at 412 and 416, which is our parking lot. And that's why we are in opposition to the size of the deck.
Okay. And for the same reasons as stated by Mr. Watkins, correct?
Yes, because it's over the line.
All right. Thank you. Anything else you wanted to add?
We do have some concerns about the porch because we've had beer cans and different things that has been disposed in the church parking lot. And we do not want this to be, like she said, they come out, they party, and then we have to clean it up.
Understood.
I'm the church secretary.
Okay, thank you. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? All right, seeing none, we'll go back to the applicant. Now, your neighbors are saying the posts are on the property line and you had a survey? And what did the survey say?
The surveyor says that I'm a little bit out from my property lines. What we will be rebuilt the stairs. That at the beginning the stair will be a turner. It will be going down and a small landing. And the poles were constructed out from my line, what I was ignoring at that time. And after the survey, I noticed that, and we will be changed to make a straight to stay into my property lines and the zoning regulations.
Okay, so you're willing to make modifications to the stairs, but the posts are going to have to stay where they are, correct? All right.
Yeah, if you allow me to keep the deck, if you don't allow me, I will be destroy it.
All right, all right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the public portion of the meeting. We'll now go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this variance is request a variance to the zoning code as it relates to the deck and balconies projection into the side yard setback. This is in the central area plan. Staff received no letters in support. We did receive letters in opposition. There is a stop work order on this property for building the deck without a permit. As this is a self-imposed hardship, as per the protocol, the Board of Zoning Appeals staff recommends denial.
All right, thank you. Questions for Director Hand? Seeing none, I will stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Easterwood?
Yes, sir. I don't have the case number on my screen right now, but
That's
I
proposing case
recommend,
2024-03, I'm sorry, 033.
yes, I recommend denial, subject to staff recommendations.
All right, thank you. Motion is made for denial for reasons stated in the case. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Ward. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call on the motion for denial.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller,
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to deny appeal BOZA 2024-033 for the reasons outlined in the staff report passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
All right, thank you. Okay, ma'am, your request has been denied. If you want to reach out to the department tomorrow, they'll be able to get you some instructions.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Janet, that concludes our agenda, correct?
Yes, sir, it does.
Once again, I apologize to you folks for running behind. We're going to take a 5-minute recess and then we will convene the City Planning Commission. Thank you all.
Who wasn't that mug?
He's on our property.
I know.
They can't.
Commissioners, 1 minute warning.
Is anybody over here Jerry Mills? Huh?
Okay, Janet, we're going to go ahead and start.
Okay, I'm ready.
Thank you. I want to welcome everybody to the December 9th meeting of the City Planning Commission. My name is Jeff Carson. I'll be serving as chair of tonight's meeting. Also with us is Karen Jones online. She is the vice chair of the City Planning Commission. We have the following commissioners present here in the chambers with me tonight. We have Commissioner Dwayne Beth. Online, we have Commissioner James Ernst, Commissioner Mark Moeller, Commissioner Aaron Ward, Commissioner Jake Miller, and Commissioner Beverly Easterwood. Also with us tonight is Director of Planning and Urban Design, Gunnar Hand, and the Executive Assistant for the Department of Planning and Urban Design, Janet Parker, who is online. And we also have Michael Farley with the Unified Government Legal Counsel. So with that, I will turn it over to Secretary Parker. She will read the opening statement on how we'll run tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We would like to welcome those participating to the meeting of the City Planning Commission. The members are participating remotely by Zoom webinar or in person in the Commission chamber. Mr. Jeff Carson is serving as chairman this evening. Please note the following instructions for the meeting. Planning Commission members attending by Zoom, please make sure you are visible during the meeting and use the raise your hand feature to speak. After Chairman Carson recognizes you, unmute your microphone and please state your name when you begin to speak. If you are in person in the Commission chamber, when Chairman Carson recognizes you, please state your name before speaking. For those members of the public in attendance via Zoom or telephone, use the raise your hand feature when you want to speak on an issue. The chairman will recognize you when it is your time to speak. Unmute your microphone and state your name and address before giving your comments. If you are attending in person, please come to the microphone at the front of the room as the application is being called, and the chairman will recognize you when it is your time to speak. Proper meeting decorum is expected of all participating in the meeting, and anyone who fails to act properly will be removed from the meeting. The city reserves the right to discontinue a meeting if any improper behavior occurs, which prevents the uninterrupted conduct of business. The Planning Commission is a voluntary body of citizens which will review each zoning proposal. For all change of zones, special use permits, vacations, and preliminary plan reviews on tonight's agenda, the Planning Commission makes recommendations to the Unified Government Board of Commissioners, who will then make the final decisions on Thursday, January 9, 2025. For final plats and final plan reviews heard tonight, the Planning Commission's decision is final and there will not be another hearing. The format for this evening's meeting is as follows. The applicant will make the opening statement explaining the proposal. Please note that the applicant will be given 15 minutes to present their case. The 15 minutes includes the applicant, consultants, and other members of the applicant's team. Members of the Planning Commission will then address any questions they may have to the applicant. Any persons wishing to speak in favor will be called upon and allowed to do so at that time. Then those persons in opposition will be called upon and allowed to make their statements and ask questions. Please note that each member of the public who wishes to speak will be given 5 minutes to express their opinions. Time may not be shared between speakers. A speaker may request to extend their time, and the Planning Commission may, by 2/3 majority vote, extend any speaker's time in 5-minute increments. The chairman will ask for a show of hands of those persons in support and in opposition that do not wish to speak. The applicant will then answer questions and make a closing statement. The public hearing portion of the meeting will be closed, and the public will only be allowed to address the commission if a question is directed to them. The Planning Commission will discuss the application and make their recommendation. If persons in opposition want to formally protest a change of zone or special use permit, a means is available by a legal protest petition, which can be obtained along with the necessary instructions by emailing the Planning and Urban Design Department at planninginfo@wicokck.org tomorrow morning. Any application receiving a unanimous vote of recommendation by the Planning Commission will appear on the consent agenda of the Unified Government Board of Commissioners. Unless there is a request to remove an item from the consent agenda by the applicant, a member of the Unified Government Commission, or other interested parties, the Planning Commission's recommendation will be adopted. The consent agenda is heard at the beginning of the meeting at 7 p.m. The Planning Commission will also have a consent agenda as part of their meeting this evening. The consent agenda is the first part of the agenda, and items on the consent agenda are final plats, final plans, or special use permit renewals that have received a staff recommendation to approve. Unless there is a request to remove an item from the consent agenda by the applicant, a member of the staff, a member of the Planning Commission, or other interested parties, the staff recommendation on all of the items on the consent agenda will be adopted by the Planning Commission at one time. I will read a list of agenda items on the consent agenda, and when I have completed the list, the chairman will ask if there are any requests to remove items. This is your time to use the raise your hand feature, be recognized, and request that an item be removed from the consent agenda if you do not agree with the staff's recommendation. If you are in the commission chamber, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and the item you want to remove from the consent agenda. The Planning Commission is required to disclose contacts about any item on the Planning Commission agenda. Before each item, I will ask if any contacts have been made, and members of the commission will be asked to disclose those contacts. Please note that your opinions will be forwarded to the governing body for their consideration in making a final decision on Thursday, January 9, 2025 at 7 p.m. I will now read the items on the consent agenda. Consideration of the November 12, 2024 Planning Commission minutes. Special use permit application SP 2024-089. Daniel Parker. Renewal of a special use permit for a short-term rental at 535 Central Avenue. Special use permit application SP 2024-012. -102. Neil Palmer. Renewal of a special use permit for short-term rental at 2620 North 131st Street. Special use permit application SP 2024-103. James Sullivan. Renewal of a special use permit for a used automotive dealership at 1401 Merriam Lane. Special use permit application SP 2024-104. Denise Tomasic. Renewal of a special use permit for a short-term rental at 419 North 6th Street. Plan review application PR 2024-030. Todd Redburn. Final development plan for a new parking lot for the Douglas Heights Towers at 1742 South 40th Street. Plan review application PR 2024-035. Eric Gentry. Final development plan to construct a new automobile dealership with repair and service at 1711 North 100th Terrace. The items I have just read are on the consent agenda. At this time, does any member of the commission wish to disclose any contact on any of these items?
No.
Thank you. Please include the following items as part of the record for all of the items on the consent agenda. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the publication in the ECHO for the special use permits, and the notices to property owners. The commission will vote to approve in one vote these items unless someone requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda.
Thank you, Janet. Does
Okay.
anybody on the commission want anything removed from the consent agenda? Okay, seeing nothing. Anyone in the audience want an item removed from the consent agenda? Yes, sir. Go ahead and give us actually, just give us your name and address and tell us which item.
Mark Henricks, 9,000 State Line Road, and it's, PR 2024-035.
Okay. Okay, we'll remove that one. Janet, did you get that? Plan
I
review
did.
application 2024-035. Anything else from anyone? All right, seeing no others, I will now entertain a motion to accept the remaining items on the on the consent agenda. Commissioner Jones,
Motion to approve the consent agenda minus case PR 2024-035.
thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Beth to approve the consent agenda minus plan review application 2024-035. Any discussion on the remaining items? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. The special use permits will all go before the Board of Commissioners on January 9th at 7 PM in this room. And the plan review application is already approved, so we'll now move into the first item. I also do need Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Easterwood to turn on your cameras, please, in accordance with our virtual attendance policy. Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying. I did not realize I had it all.
No problem. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we will now consider the item that was removed from the consent agenda. Plan review application PR 2024-035. Eric Gentry, final development plan to construct a new automobile dealership with repair and service at 1711 North 100th Terrace.
Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Don Hinton, 6131 Acuff Street, Shawnee, Kansas.
Okay, go ahead and tell us about this project.
So I'm the general manager for Victory Hyundai. The property there, 1711 North 100th Terrace, Kansas City, Kansas 66111. We're requesting a final plan review for a new car dealership. We had a final development plan that was previously approved in 2023. The previous approved plan was for a Jeep dealership, and the Jeep project stopped due to Jeep availability, which is why we switched to Hyundai and made a few changes. Currently, we have 3 new car dealerships in Kansas City. We employ over 100 employees. We also have the Giving Hope Food Pantry on 66th and State, where we feed about 300 families a week. We're proposing a 18,000 square foot facility that's estimated around $6 million. Not only will it provide a significant amount of taxes for the city, but we're also working with local contractors from the area to develop the property. From the staff reports, we are requesting to strike the first item, which it was actually previously approved without.
Which item is that?
Item 1, additional crosswalks shall be added within the site to facilitate safer site access for pedestrians within site.
Okay, and you're not wanting to provide those?
No, sir.
For what reason?
It was previously approved without.
So your reason for wanting it removed is because it was previously approved by who?
Believed by you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's the only concession you're wanting to make? You agree with all the other staff stipulations and requirements?
Yeah, I think we were wanting clarity on 2A, but outside of that, yeah, we're requesting everything else to be approved as submitted.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Mr. Brian Falk. Mr. Falk, you're
Yeah.
queued up. Ready to speak? Yes.
Hello, related to 2A, that we just wanted to make sure that's clear that we've provided exterior elevations of the building, which define what the exterior materials are. In the staff recommendations, as we were reading it, we didn't think it was super clear on what the staff was approving and not approving, but there will be high quality exterior metal panels on the front of the building and masonry on the exterior and some stucco. I think they're all high quality products. We believe the staff is aware of what is there. We just didn't think the language in the recommendations was super clear. We didn't understand what was being recommended.
All right, thank you. And I need your address, please, for the record.
Yeah, 827 North Kansas Avenue.
All right, thank you. And that's in Kansas City, Kansas?
No, I'm in Topeka, Kansas.
All right, so why don't you give me your name and address for the record?
Brian Falk, 827 North Kansas Avenue, Topeka, Kansas, 66608.
All right, thank you. Anyone else want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and go to Director Hannigan, his comments and the request for the variance. Or the
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
deletion.
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is a final development plan for the new car dealership. This is in the Prairie, Delaware Piper area plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition, no notices of violation. Staff does recommend approval with conditions as written. As it relates to condition number 1, if you look at the site plan for this project, there is crosswalks on the site plan from the front door to the sidewalk as per commercial design guidelines. Staff was looking for crosswalks in other locations. It is ambiguous. I think staff would prefer to keep it, but we have the primary crosswalk painted in the site plan from the front door to the pedestrian path through the site. So that's kind of our primary. I'll defer to your wisdom if you think other crosswalks are needed or not. Again, there are no other crosswalks currently on the site plan, so where we would put them makes this a somewhat ambiguous condition of approval that we'd have to work with the applicant on before they submitted their building permit set, which is easy enough. And then as it relates to 2A, I think this was an incomplete standard condition of approval. Number 2 represents deviation received from the City Planning Commission when it was the Jeep dealership. It did change ever so slightly, but we kept the deviations from the Hyundai dealership that were granted when this was a preliminary development plan in 3. 2 is a restatement of of design guidelines not met from when it was a Jeep dealership. They're still relevant to this case. So I would recommend we just combine conditions 2 and 3 into a master deviations list. And then once approved tonight, they'll all be in one location moving forward.
right.
Neither of 2 or 3 changes anything in the plan.
All right, thank you. And so with regard to condition number 1, so that was previously approved when it was going to be a Jeep dealership?
Condition number 1 was added between PDP and FDP because we thought the site plan could use more pedestrian circulation through the site. So the point I tried to make was the primary pedestrian circulation, that's the most important part of the commercial design guidelines, is in the site plan. So we have that, just so it's not crosswalks, no crosswalks. Staff just felt that there were other places where we could add crosswalks at the building permit stage, but again, because those aren't named and because we weren't able to get a revise and resubmit before them, I can't tell you exactly where those would be.
All right, thank you. Questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Miller?
I I actually had one question,
All right,
and
go
I was
ahead.
trying to hit my button fast enough. So one of the applicants came on and asked about the metal versus the masonry, because I kind of remember that from the Jeep deal. So what's your stance on that, or is that part of the stipulation of joining them together?
The materiality deviation was, again, previously granted in the Jeep dealership. It's the same composition that still needs a deviation for the Hyundai dealership.
So that's part of that merger you're talking about?
Yeah, merging the two, I think, just reduces confusion for all of us. We've granted all these deviations in some way, shape, or form previously. Let's just get them on one list for the final FDP, because the truth is in the distant future, they're gonna pull the FDP, not the PDP. A future planner that wants to look at this staff report.
All right, Commissioner Miller, that get it for you?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Other questions, clarifications, or a motion when ready? Anyone? Commissioner Miller.
Move to approve PR 2024-35, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Including deviation one, excuse me, including condition one and combining conditions 2 and 3?
Yes, I was trying to go based on what was suggested, but yes.
All right, thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Jones, is that a second?
That's a second. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Motion made to approve plan review application 2024-035, including stipulation 1 and combining stipulations 2 and 3 into 1, correct? All right, Janet, you got that?
I got it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood, Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to approve PR 2024-035 passes 7 in favor and none opposed, with leaving condition number 1 in the approval, and I've combined conditions 2 and 3. The deviations have been approved, and then renumbering number 4 now becomes 3, and so on and so forth. That motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the consent agenda, and the commission will now move on to consider the non-consent agenda. I have 2 items together. Change of zone application COZ 2024-016. Steve Sobek. Change of zone from AG Agriculture and R Rural Residential Districts, WICO zoning, to RP1 Planned Single Family and RP1B Planned Single Family Districts to create 241 residential lots at 12024 Leavenworth Road and 3351 Leavenworth Road. And plat application, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, knew that was incorrect when I said it. It's
That's all right.
3351 North 123rd Street. And it has a corresponding plat, 2024-017. It's a preliminary plat, Northland Park, to create 241 residential lots at the same addresses. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo for the change of zone, and the notices to property owners. Mr. Chairman, I would like to give a little explanation about why we have these 2 applications back before us. Both of these were heard last month. The plat was approved. The change of zone was sent forward with a recommendation for approval with conditions. They did not make it to the Board of Zoning Appeal or the Board of Commissioners meeting because we discovered that when the legal description was republished, it included additional property and the buffer zone was not updated, and there were 5 residents that were not notified. So last month's hearing, the legal department determined was actually not a valid hearing since not everyone was notified. So we have it back for consideration this evening. All proper notification has been sent out. The neighborhood meeting that was held was a proper neighborhood meeting because they did notify the additional people. And does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on these cases?
No.
And Mr. Chairman, it's also our understanding that there will be a request to hold over these applications till next month.
All right, thank you. And just going back to the previous cases, I've heard from both proponents and opponents of both of these applications.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
so is the applicant in the audience? Mr. Sobek?
Yes,
Okay.
how are you?
Thank you. Your name and address, please.
Steve Sobek, 13728 Horton Drive.
Okay, and tell us what you want to do here tonight, or you're seeking a holdover?
Yes,
Is that
I'd like
correct?
A continuance until next month, if we could, please.
For both cases?
Yes, please.
Okay, and 30 days?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any testimony before we decide to move on a motion for that, because there may be people here that came to speak, okay?
Okay.
So if you would just have a seat for just a moment. Did anyone in the audience want to speak to this case before we consider an application, or excuse me, a request for holdover? Either online or in the audience? Yes, Mr. Palmer, do you want to come forward and speak?
My name is Neil Palmer. I reside at 2600 North 131st Street. I also own property in close proximity, less than a half a mile as the crow flies at 115th and Donahue. I'm glad to hear that the applicant is requesting a continuance. I hope that's with the intent to continue to work with planning and zoning on complying with the codes as they're written for the Piper Delaware Master Plan and the Piper Annex Code that was established in 1992. As you know, I spoke against this development at the meeting last month. I think development in Piper is inevitable. We understand that. The only thing we ask as residents is that we hold folks to the codes as close as we can. Variances that exceed in ranges of 30 to 40 to 45%, in my opinion, do not hold people accountable to that. I understand, that one of the reasons the developer is asking for variances on lot widths is due to the long linear layout of the ground. Well, that was known by an aerial view by anybody that looked at ahead of time. And if that doesn't work with their pro forma, well, that's not on the rest of us. So I hope we can do that. I'd like to go back and read in a little more specificity, and I'll send some notes to staff about, what the current master plan says about density of development north of Leavenworth Road, as opposed to south of that. I think that needs to be relooked at and revisited. One of the big concerns I have is the impact on the school district. I actually addressed the school board this evening at the beginning of their regular meeting. I would predict that this type of development would have some velocity as far as home construction and home sales, due for a whole lot of factors. But, if you take demographics of what this could be, that could be almost 2 full grade levels of students impacting the district in very short order. that the district might not be able to recover from in time to get another bond passed. The district's already over capacity. And I think, wow. And that's one reason I think it's very important that we hold to the standards we have and not have compounding interest on capacity for the district because we're given variances. So, welcome these guys to our community. I just like to make sure everybody constructs on a level playing field and we don't give variances where we don't need to at this time.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Good evening, Mike Nichols, 3108 North 118th Street, Kansas City, Kansas, 66109. I just want to start by thanking Commissioners Beth and Commissioners Ward who voted to deny this application the last time it was before the board. And to get a little bit further clarification, I guess, about the fact that it was indicated that notice has been proper for this meeting. And my understanding is that I think we neighbors, as we were preparing our protest petition, determined when we were provided the mailing list that it would not have included properties that were along 123rd Street that would be within the boundaries of the additional property that the developer has contracts on. At that area, we brought that to the attention of city staff. They may have discovered it on their own, I don't know, but I had not heard from them until we brought it to their attention when we went through the mailing list so that we could prepare a protest petition. But as I understand it, those additional property owners would be entitled to notice postmarked not later than 20 days prior to the meeting. And so it seems to me impossible that they could have been provided that notice. The issue was discovered, we were last before you, I guess on the 12th, I can't recall the date exactly, but I would have brought this to, I think, city's attention sometime the following week. I was notified on November 22nd that yes, they agreed that notice wasn't properly sent by the city. And then my understanding was that notice was sent out this last Monday, which would have been a week ago. And so I guess I am asking for further clarification about how notice was properly given to those additional owners that would meet the requirements of our Chapter 27, Section 203 of our city ordinances regarding notice for these types of hearings. And if that hasn't been done, then I don't know unless we can, I don't want anybody to rely on the notice that's been sent for this meeting, for that meeting, without sending new notices for the January meeting. I don't think it's fair to send out notice less than a week before a meeting and then treat that as notice that they could have showed up here today to find out that this was continued down the road until January. And so I am confused by that. Also, as we were going through the process, we were trying to get together a protest petition as we were having these back and forth discussions with city staff about whether this was appropriately noticed up and whether it was coming back to the City Planning Commission. And so out of an abundance of caution, we did go ahead and submit a protest petition on November 25th. To this date, we have received no response as to whether we met or where we were as it relates to meeting the requirement of getting signatures of owners of properties of 20% of the land area. And given the circumstances of this case, I think it's appropriate for a response to be provided by staff so that we have some idea there, because we were in quite a level of uncertainty at the time that we went ahead and filed that. So that is the concerns and questions I have as tonight. I won't talk about the substantive issues if we're going to be coming on next month, but that is what I wanted to raise. All right, thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and close the public portion of the meeting. We'll go to Director Hand. One, to provide comment with regard to the noticing requirement and clarification on the protest petition and responses back on that.
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning, and resigned. I defer to Ms. Parker on the noticing issue.
Sure, I can take that. We were waiting. It was our understanding that this was going to move forward to the Board of Commissioners. It was pulled the week of the meeting. As I said, the legal department made that determination. So it was treated as if it had been remanded back. And we sent the notices for this hearing. We will, if this application is held over this week, notices will go out for the January 13th hearing.
And that January 3rd, that will meet the noticing requirements as far as dates?
It will be more than meet the requirement.
All right. Thank you. Gunnar, do you have comments on the,
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning, resign. Yeah, again, I think because the ninth floor and legal decided that because there hasn't been properly noticed, the planning commission hearing effectively didn't happen. We were, as Ms. Parker tried to explain, did the best we could and sent out what would have been a typical remand notice. But they didn't do a remand. They simply just said it wasn't to be on the agenda and we were to go back to planning commission and start all over. So that's why there's a bit of difference.
so we're going back, we're starting over with proper noticing and,
Effectively the remand notices from the Board of Commissioners to the Planning Commission is what has been sent out thus far. There will be another round of noticing to the updated list for the January meeting if the Board of Commissioners holds
to-
over as per the applicant's request. Because there was no decision by the City Planning Commission, there is no protest petition and everything has to start over.
all right. Thank you. Questions for staff? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Commissioner Ward,
Commissioner Ward, go ahead.
do you want the change of zone first or plat first?
Change of zone, please.
Thank you.
Okay. I move to hold over change of zone 2024-016 for 30 days at the applicant's or petitioner's request.
All right, thank you. Change of zone application 2024-016. Motion is to approve a 30-day holdover. Is there a second, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood, Commissioner Easterwood.
Aye.
Thank you. Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to hold over change of zone application COZ 2024-016 until the January 13, 2025 meeting passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. Now I'll entertain one for plat 2024-017.
Commissioner Ward, I move to approve, I move to have a 30-day holdover at the petitioner's request for plat 2024-017.
All right, thank you. Motion for holdover for 30 days made by Commissioner Ward of plat 2024-017. Is that once again a second, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Commissioner Easterwood?
Sorry. My mouse wasn't working. Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to hold over plat 16 until the January 13, 2025 meeting passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
All right, thank you. We'll see you all next month.
Thank you.
Our next application is change of zone application COZ 2024-031, Austin Thompson with Atlas Land Consulting. Change of zone from R1B Single Family District to RP2B Plan 2 Family District to construct duplexes at 810 North 10th Street, 1007 Armstrong Avenue, and 1013 Armstrong Avenue. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Thompson, I got you queued up, ready to go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Austin Thompson, and I'm with Atlas Land Consulting, 14500 Parallel Road, Unit R, Baser, Kansas, 66007. And just as Ms. Parker stated, we are looking to do a change of zone at 810 North 10th, 1007 and 1013 Armstrong. These are just three properties that are consecutively next to each other. The owner is trying to do these duplexes part of the land bank program. So this is three vacant properties that they're looking to develop and kind of bring up the neighborhood. The owner has looked over the staff stipulations and is good with all of staff's recommendations and stipulations. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, raise your hand or come to the microphone if you're here in the chambers. Seeing no one, we'll close the public part of the meeting. We'll go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is change of zone from R1B to RP2, B for I think it's 3 duplexes on 3 adjacent properties. As the applicant noted, this is a land bank project. This is in the downtown area plan. Staff received no letters in support. There you go. No letters in opposition. There are some notices of violation on these properties related to vacancies, all which would be addressed by the redevelopment. Staff does recommend approval with conditions, including going to the RP district. That will allow planning staff, when building permits are pulled for this proposed project, if recommended approval for this evening and approved ultimately by the Board of Commissioners, to meet the design guidelines for the downtown area plan to support neighborhood character.
All right, thank you. Questions for staff?
I do have one question.
Commissioner Ward?
Is that you said RP, is it RP1 or 2, or what is that?
RP2 is the requested change of zone.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Thank you. Further questions? If not, I'll stand for a motion.
Commissioner Ward.
Commissioner Ward, go ahead.
I move to approve change of zone 2024-031, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion for approval made by Commissioner Ward of change of zone application 2024-031. Is there a second? Commissioner Jones, is that a second?
That's a second. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to recommend approval of COZ 2024-031, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. This will be heard once again, January 9th, 7 p.m. before the Board of County Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 applications that we are going to hear together, and then we'll vote on them separately. Change of zone application COZ 2024-032, Ladina, Washington, with alter support. Change of zone from AG Agriculture District to R1 Single Family District for a 5-lot subdivision at 13303 Parallel Parkway, and the corresponding plat 2024-034. Preliminary and final plat, Brown Family Estates, for a 5-lot subdivision. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Philip Brown, I have you queued up to speak. Are you representing Ms. Washington?
Yes, yes, thank you. My name is Philip Brown. My address is 2711 North 91st Street, Kansas City, Kansas. I am the civil engineer for this project, just representing Ms. Washington. I had the opportunity to work with who you just heard from, Mr. Thompson, Austin Thompson. We have a 6.5 acre lot. This is out at 133rd and Parallel Parkway. The developer would like to develop 5 single-family residential lots. Each lot will be about 1 acre. Your first part we're asking, of course, is changing from agricultural to R1 single-family district. And then, of course, later we will be asking for our approval of our final plat. I'm here for any other questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll go to the public. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, please come forward or raise your hand if you're online. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and go to Director Hand now and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this change of zone is being heard in conjunction with Plat 2024-034 for 5 single-family lots on a private street. Again, the change of zone is from AG, excuse me, to R1. This is in the Prairie, Delaware Piper Area Plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are no notices of violation on this property. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Jones?
Motion to approve COZ case number 2024-032, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion made for approval of change of zone application 2024-032 made by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second? Commissioner Easterwood, is that a second?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to recommend approval of COZ 2024-032, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Okay, this application will be heard once again at January 9th before the Board of Commissioners. I'll now entertain a motion on the plat. Commissioner Jones?
Motion to approve plat case number 2024-034, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion for approval made by, of plat 2024-034 made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second? Commissioner Easterwood?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to approve plat 2024-034, subject to the conditions, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. And this plat does not go forward, correct, Janet?
That is correct, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that takes us to our next 2 items that'll be heard together. Master Plan Amendment MPL 2024-012, Amy Grant with Polsonelli, PC. Master Plan Amendment from no designation to high density residential plan KCK comprehensive plan at 6909 State Avenue. And this corresponding change of zone application COZ 2024-034. Change of zone from no zoning to RP5 planned apartment district to construct an apartment complex at the same address. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, The city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question. The staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024. The application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson, you handling this one?
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Welcome.
Commissioners, Kurt Peterson, 900 West, 48th Place, Kansas City, Missouri, here on behalf of the applicant, which is Marion Development Group. Shelby Miles, one of the principals there, is here with us tonight, as well as our Kimley Horn engineer, Andrew Gribble. So Marion Development, just giving you a sketch as I normally do, so you have a sense for who this developer would be if this project moved forward. Was founded about 22 years ago. They have about $500 million of various types of residential developments that they've completed successfully and have an excellent reputation. The site, as the next slide will show, is 10 acres that is bounded. You can see the hashed area, 10 acres bounded at State Avenue to the north, College Parkway to the west, and then the logistics center there to the east, Turner Logistics. The access points are, and maybe Mr. Hand can help a little bit. We have the full access down at the southwest corner right there onto College Parkway. And then we have a right in that comes exactly right there going eastbound on State. It comes into the site. The project will cause 6 of you, no, with the chairman, 7 of you deja vu about a year ago, if you're having that feeling. Almost identical, honestly. Different developer. The last developer that proposed, again, this substantially similar project, it could not get financing for the project and it went away. So you're back with something that is reminding you of that. So what is this? This is a multifamily project with 8 buildings, as you can see on the screen, and then also the clubhouse and amenity area down in the southeast corner is that clubhouse area. They are 3-story buildings with pitched roofs like they were before, and there's 192 residential units. The architecture, specifically the materials, is heavy materials. The masonry brick material and fiber cement siding are the principal materials used. The amenities, as before, you have a clubhouse with a adjacent, this always kills me too. We try to make it bigger, but then you turn it, but north is to the left there. So you're back with State Avenue exactly running at the left there. The clubhouse has an outdoor gathering space, picnic area, playground area, bike racks, and open space, to name some of the amenities. There are a total of 16 conditions, and there's just one to talk about. It's condition number 2. So we agree with all of the conditions, but we'd like to talk about condition number 2 to conclude here. It has to do with speed bumps. So maybe actually, Gunnar, to get us oriented again, could you go 1 slide back, please? Which is the same thing, it's just smaller and turned. So now we're back to having north at the top of the screen. So remember how one of the access points is a right in only off of State Avenue when you're heading eastbound? You can see as that follows in and curves around and goes south into the complex. Staff had requested that along the east side of the project there, so you'd be heading either northbound or southbound on that private drive, that we put in 4 speed bumps along the way. And we actually showed that on our plan in response to, as we often do, right? You resubmit and you make changes according to staff. The only problem is, with total humility here, that the principals of the company did not sign off on the speed bumps and it got back in. So that's why Mr. Hand thought that the developer agreed to that. Here are the reasons we'd like you to consider not requiring 4 speed bumps inside the private developer's property here, on the private drive, I should say. So Marion Development, again, you have been around 22 years. They've never had any speed bumps inside their project on private drives, and they've never had problems maintaining safe speeds and overall traffic safety and pedestrian safety in their projects. They have a flawless track record when it comes to that. So when they see the idea, and this is the principles of Marion, when they see the idea of putting in speed bumps, they see increased wear and tear on vehicles, which is a true thing. When daily you're going over that many speed bumps in a row, it creates issues for them when they're clearing snow. It's not that it's impossible, but it's not as manageable, as easy. It slows down emergency vehicles that are trying to come into the site fast if that's ever needed. And then the other thing the principals and the design team pointed out was that drive intentionally, in fact, the one that comes in off State Avenue is designed with the turning radius, with Kimberly Horn here, this is engineering speak, for a 25-mile-an-hour radius. Can you go around it faster? Maybe, but that's really going to be hard to do. The whole point is you don't come around that at a high speed. So the idea is to bring you in at maximum 25 miles an hour as you enter that drive. So with that, while it may seem minor, this was important enough for the principals to have me speak to you and ask if you would give them the opportunity to maintain the safety on their own, on their site with all of their experience. And they wanted me to end by saying this: if for some reason this is different than they expect and they find that they're not able to control people easily following safe driving practices on that drive, guess what they'll do? They'll put in speed bumps on their own, because they are putting a lot of money into this project and plan to maintain and operate it for a really long time. Chairman, commissioners, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'm here, but we'd ask for your support tonight for this application.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for the applicant's representative? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case online or in person, raise your hand or come to the microphone if you're here with us tonight. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public portion of the meeting. We'll go to Director Hannigan's comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this change of zone is being heard in conjunction with Master Plan Amendment 2024-012 from mixed use to high density residential. The change of zone is, again, no zone to RP5 multifamily for 192 garden style apartments. This is in the Plant KCK Midtown area. Staff received no letters of support, no letters in opposition, no notices of violation for this property. Staff recommends approval with conditions. The applicant will have to come back for a parking variance for the proposed site plan. Staff would recommend we keep the speed bumps and condition number 2.
Okay, questions for staff? Let me start. I don't recall another plan where we've talked about speed bumps, and maybe I'm wrong, but why this one?
It's about, well, it's less than. I mean, the eastern property line is approximately 1,000 feet, so we're looking at 800 straightaway. That functions as a circulation around through and kind of around the 8 buildings. We just thought it was a really long straight stretch. Yes, you have the curb to slow down, and that was redesigned to slow down further as a part of this concern staff had about internal circulation and speeding. It's, it's a drive aisle for parking. We're concerned that it would function as a drive lane around the buildings, even though there's parking up and down it. So we sought other traffic mitigation measures. Speed bumps is the thing that came to the top when we worked with our Public Works Department.
Okay. Other questions for staff? And speed bumps were the only alternative that were discussed. Were there other measures? I mean,
again, I think
do understand
we
the
talked
concern
about I think we
snow
talked about
removal and
well, I think this includes, one of our first comments was painted crosswalks, as we typically do in these types of things. Those were amended too. At one point we talked about a chicane, I think. Again, we talked about the turn radius off state to make that a slower speed to slow them down before they hit this main straightaway. So we did some things, changes were made to address that concern. I think staff thought we were on the same page with
any
the speed
stop
bumps.
signs? Is there a possibility of stop sign inside the development between buildings or something here or there?
Yeah, you could do a lot of things.
All right. All right. Any other questions for staff?
We could, in that line of thinking, Chairman, you could amend to, but the issue would be you could keep it ambiguous tonight, i.e. some traffic calming to reduce concerns of speeding on the eastern roadway or whatever, internal circulation road. And we could hash it out at building permit, but without anything definitive, without a real design. The only other option would be to hold over to figure it out if you wanted to, or just get rid of it completely. I defer to the wisdom of the Planning Commission.
All right. Thank you. Any questions for staff? If not, I will look to you all for a motion. Commissioner Jones,
Motion to approve change of zone case number 2024 dash.
we'll need the master plan first, correct, Janet?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. If you would, please, Commissioner
Sorry.
Jones.
Master plan case number 2024-012, subject to staff stipulations and comments, with the continued inclusion of condition number 2 regarding the speed bumps.
Okay, motion made to approve master plan amendment 2024-012, which also would include the speed bumps made by Commissioner Jones. Is there a second? Commissioner Ernst, is that a second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye. Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to recommend approval of MPL 2024-012, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
All right, thank you. Now one for the change of zone. Commissioner Jones,
Motion to approve change of zone case number 2024-034, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
all right, thank you. Motion made to approve change of zone application 2024-034, made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second, Commissioner Ernst?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Just one thing again for Gunner. If another proposal or traffic calming measure were to come up sometime between now and final approval, is that something that's workable, or now that it's in, it's stone?
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Based on the motion just made for the master plan amendment, assuming that it moves forward as is to the Board of Commissioners, if the applicant wanted to work with staff to amend the recommendation of the Planning Commission to specifically address number 2 in a different way, staff would be open to that.
All right, thank you.
It would just take 8 votes of the Board of Commissioners because it would then effectively change the recommendation of the City Planning Commission.
Correct, thank you. All right. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to recommend approval of COZ 2024-034, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. The change of zone application will be heard once again on January 9th before the Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
And
So will the
along
appeal.
Along with
master plan.
Thank you. Sorry about that. And the master plan. Thank you.
That takes us to our next change of zone application, COZ 2024-035, Donna Agee. Change of zone from R1B Single Family District to R2B Two Family District for a legal non-conforming duplex at 621 North 17th Street. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Ms. Agee, are you in the audience? Okay, Donna, I have you queued up, ready to speak. If you would start off with your name and address, please.
Hi, yes, my name is Donna Agee. My address is 2941 North 27th Street, Kansas City, Kansas 66104.
And tell us what you want to do.
I want to This was already a duplex, but it was zoned as a single family, and I didn't know that when we bought it. And so when I was trying to pull permits to start doing updates to the property is when I found out that it was a single family and not a duplex. And I just want to update it to the appropriate zoning to bring it into compliance because it's been used like as a duplex before and was sold to me as a duplex too.
All right, thank you. Questions for the applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in opposition or in favor? Seeing none, we'll go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is a change of zone from R1B to R2B for a legal non-conforming duplex. This is in the central area plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There were some notices of violation before it was purchased or during for when it was a vacant property before it was purchased by the applicant to be rehabbed. Staff recommends approval with conditions. I will note one typo in the conditions of approval. Condition number 1 says they must provide 2 parking spaces for each dwelling unit. That would be a total of 4 because there are 2 units in a duplex. R2B only requires 1 off-street parking for each dwelling unit, so a maximum of 2. Staff would recommend we just strike number 1 and that they meet code requirement, and that's what it is, not a condition of approval. They do have 2 off-street parking spaces. In fact, they probably have a few more, but.
So you want to strike?
Staff would recommend we just strike number 1 and make it easy on everybody.
All right, we're all about that. Any questions for Director Hand? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion. Commissioner Ernst.
I move the Kansas City Planning Commission recommend approval of petition COZ 2024-035, striking number 1.
Thank you.
And
Motion made to, I'm sorry.
all other staff stipulations.
All right, thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Ernst to approve change of zone application 2024-035, striking condition number 1 in its entirety. Is that a second, Commissioner Jones?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller, Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to recommend approval of COZ 2024-035 passes 7 in favor and none opposed, subject to the conditions in the staff report with striking condition number 1.
All right, thank you. This will be heard once again on January 9th before the Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Our next application is Special Use Permit SP 2024-057. Brad Willits with Dynasty Holdings. Renewal of a special use permit for a volleyball training facility at 7120 Gibbs Road. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Mr. Chairman, I would note that in the staff report, we included a letter from the applicant that they are requesting that this item be continued, and they will be present this evening to also make that request. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Name and address.
Mr. Chair, Greg Musel, 5250 West 116th Place in Leawood, Kansas, 66211 here. And the attorney representing the applicant, Mr. Willits, who is standing behind me. Mr. Larson, who also is involved with the club, is here, and there are some other members on behalf of the club. We're here tonight to ask for a continuance until the January 13th meeting. I can go into more detail as our letter did about the things we have done since you last heard this in October, where we've been working with the neighbors, we've changed some scheduling, we've done other things to change this. At our last neighborhood meeting on November 25th, the neighbors that were there indicated an interest in us presenting to a broader group of the Morris neighborhood, the Neighborhood Watch Group, which meets on January 9th, which is another reason that would dovetail with a continuance so you could hear this substantively on January 13th.
Okay.
I'm happy to provide more information if the commission thinks that would be helpful.
Okay, thank you. And will 30 days get you there, considering that meeting's not going to be until January 9th?
I think so. And Ms. Kathy West is here as one of the immediate neighbors. We didn't talk about anything. I noticed you've continued a number of things tonight to January 9th or January 13th. We would meet on January 9th and then be back on the 13th. We never discussed going beyond that. So I think, to be fair to the neighbors that were at that meeting, we should just go to the 13th. If something comes up and we need to do it again, we can ask your indulgence on the 13th. Does that
Okay.
make sense, Mr. Hand?
All right.
Right.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, because this was noticed, I'm going to ask, does anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition before we look at the holdover request? Raise your hand if you're online, come to the mic if you're in person. Okay, seeing none, we'll go to Director Hand and get his comment.
Staff has no issue with the holdover, and it looks like someone just raised their hand online.
All right, let me go back. I have Seals.
Hi, I'm Kathy Seals and I'm 7133 Gibbs Road. And my main concern, and I've talked to the owners about Dynasty, is the traffic. And I wanted to ask the city planning department, what is the recommended street width for a business of this size and within this zoning district?
Will you go ahead and get that information, or do you have that information?
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Staff doesn't have that at this time. It would be a public works question, so we can ask them.
All right, I'm sorry, ma'am, we would not be able to answer that question this evening for you. That would be a public works question. We would have to go to them for that type of. Oh, she's already muted again.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, any further discussion? Gunnar, you're okay with the 30-day holdover? Any questions from? Sorry, yes, ma'am. Come on up. Name and address, please.
I'm Catherine West at 7220 Gibbs Road, Kansas City, Kansas 66106. I was here last time and I spoke in opposition before concerns about traffic, parking, noise, lights, congestion. But the one thing that has been brought up a few times that has not really been discussed, and the residents would like to have maybe possibly some answers from planning and zoning, is when Dynasty decided to put in lights on their sand volleyball in the rear of their facility, did they come to planning and urban design for approval for that? Because if they did, we were never notified that they planned on doing this, like the normal process of whenever there's any improvements to a property or change in the property that would affect the neighborhood residents. Does anybody know that?
I do not. I don't know if staff does or not at this time.
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. So adding lighting to a facility would require an electrical permit at the very least, which would be a building permit issued by the Building Inspections Division of the Neighborhood Resource Center, not the Planning Department. Typically, lights don't require any land entitlements that would require a public hearing, just a building permit.
So it would go through the Building Inspections Department.
Okay, so this is brought up because how it affects so much of the residents in the neighborhood, how intrusive the lighting is, even though they may have had some hoods put on them since then, but when they were initially installed and turned on, they were on for 24/7 for 4 months, and they tried to resolve that problem, not as, I think, as urgent as they should have, because it was shining in a lot of people's houses all night long. But these lightings are not only cast upon Gibbs Road's residents' homes inside their windows, but it's also casted on properties on 71st Street to the east of Dynasty and onto Berry Road, that far east. So there's a real concern about these lights.
I would bring those up in that community meeting on January
Okay.
January 9th, is that right?
Okay.
Is that the right date?
Because
On January 9th, and then we'll look for a resolution to see if we can get to one when we come back here on the 13th
okay.
for our next meeting, okay?
Um,
But I would encourage you to bring that up, and because I'm sure you'll bring it up at the meeting on the 13th,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I will see you again.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I would just add that lighting design was an issue identified at the last hearing. The applicant did hire a lighting designer to look at this, and we did talk about it at that meeting. Again, those were installed by the Board of Public Utilities, which will add floodlights on private property at the request of a private property owner. And so even floodlights are hard to hood and direct the right way. So the planning department feels strongly and supports the idea of dark skies and does believe that light pollution is an issue in the unified government.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll have this discussion next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the request for a holdover? If not, I'll look for that motion. Commissioner Ernst.
Motion to hold over for 30 days.
Thank you. Motion is for a 30-day holdover on this case on, sorry, special use application 2024-057. Is that a second? Commissioner Jones?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller, Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to hold over SP 2024-057 at the request of the applicant until the January 13, 2025 meeting passes. 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. We'll see you all on the 13th. Have a good, productive meeting.
Our next special use permit is SP 2024-061, Jesus Osagura. Special use permit for an event space at 735 Minnesota Avenue. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Osagura, are you in the audience? Jose Osagura. I have somebody labeled client online. Client. Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Oh, okay. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, what's your name and address, please?
My name is Mario Leon. I live at 3106 South 48th Drive, Kansas City, Kansas, 66106. And I'm sitting here next to Jesus.
Jesus, okay.
Go ahead, Jesus.
Yes, hi, I'm Jesus Osagura, the owner of 735 Minnesota Avenue. My personal address is 211 South Tremont, Kansas City, Kansas, 66101.
Yes, sir. What are you wanting to do tonight?
So, I bought
hold,
this.
Hold this application over?
I'm sorry?
It's my understanding you wanted to possibly hold this application over. Is that correct? Or are you wanting to go ahead and have it heard tonight?
We'd like it heard tonight.
Okay, go ahead then. Go ahead with your presentation.
Yeah, so I bought this facility with the actual business of 7th Street Event Center from Mike Johnson 2.5 years ago. So when I bought the facility, I bought the actual building, and we bought the name of which is the 7th Street, the business, everything as a whole. So when I walked into this, I was not aware the special use, he did tell me the special use permit was gonna expire, but he said I could just renew it. So when I came to renew it, I came to find out that I had to apply as a new owner. So we're trying to get the special use permit. I can't say renewed because they say I have to apply for it as a brand new owner. So that's why we're applying for the special use permit.
Okay, you're gonna need to tell us what you're planning on doing with the building, what its current use is, what your plans are for it. You're gonna need to convince us why we need to approve this tonight.
Yeah,
Because
so
we don't know
basically,
anything about the previous one.
okay, so basically 7th Street Event Center is a facility, is about 10,000 square foot facility. So it's been ran for events, you know, like mostly our 90% popularity is quinceañeras or sweet 16s. We have weddings, community meetings. You know, we just offer the space for people to come and accommodate whatever needs they have. We operate strictly mostly on Saturdays and Sundays. So during the week, we just, you know, we have people meet people there to tour the space and show them the facility. So that's kind of, you know, in a nutshell, that's kind of what we're doing there with the, and it's the same thing that Mike's been doing with it, you know, 8 years. I mean, he's been running it for like 8 years already. Well, was
How long,
running it.
how long have you owned the property?
I've owned it for 2.5 years.
So you bought it when?
I bought it in August of 2022.
2022, yeah.
Okay. And have you had any incidences with disturbance complaints?
We have under my belt, we have had, I mean, I think it's been like 2 incidents that we've had, and we do have the sheriff's officers. They're the ones who run our events. So our the ratio is 1 officer per 100 guests. So that's they are the ones who are on site on every event.
And did you have security on site for the 2 disturbance complaints that you had on October 2022 and May of 2023?
Yes, we did. They were on site, and I believe one of them was it was like, you know, they were over a girl or something. They had an argument over a girl, and I mean the officers contained everything. It's never gotten to a point where, you know, there's been fights or violence or none of that.
Okay, well, our notice of disturbance complaints are not good ones, so we'll go ahead and go on. Does anybody else have any questions for the applicant?
I do have a question.
Commissioner Beth?
Yeah, how long has this place been in operation before you had it?
It's been in operation since 2012.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll go to the public. Anyone want to speak to this case in the audience in favor or in opposition, raise your hand. If you're online, come to the microphone if you're here with us. Seeing none, we'll go to Director Hannah. We'll get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, this is a special use permit for an event center and live entertainment. This is as the applicant noted, is a new operator. So it would have been the 5th approval, 4th renewal of a similar special use permit, but because it's a new operator, this is their first continuation again of the former business. This is in the downtown area plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. As noted by the chair, there are some calls for service at this location over the last few years. Staff received requested materials from the applicant after the submission deadline for final staff reports in this round. As such, we haven't been able to thoroughly review some parking agreements and other materials. Staff would recommend 30-day holdover.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, I will stand for a motion when ready. I thought it would be you, Commissioner Ernst.
It sounds like it needs to be held over for 30 days.
All right, thank you. So a motion is made by Commissioner Ernst to hold over Special use application 2024-061. Is that a second, Commissioner Jones?
It is with the question. Staff report, did I miss it? It said staff was recommending a 90-day holdover, but the motion is for 30. Just want to be clear about that.
Sorry, that was a change and a typo in the staff report. We received the materials after we submitted the final staff report, thinking we'd need that full 90. Then we saw the materials that came in, realized we just need another month to look them over before
Put it together.
before the next meeting.
Got it. I support the motion with that clarification.
All right, thank you. The motion is for a 30-day holdover on this file. Any discussion, further discussion? None? Roll call, please.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to hold over SP 2024-061 until the January 13, 2025 meeting to allow staff to review the documents that were submitted after the deadline passes. 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Osagura. You're going to need to meet with staff, and then we'll see you again next month to see if we can get a resolution for you on this case. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, our next application is special use permit SP 2024-066. Austin Thompson with Atlas Land Consulting. Special use permit to operate a rodeo at 8700 Kansas Avenue. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Thompson, you're on.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Austin Thompson, and I'm with Atlas Land Consulting, 14500 Parallel Road, Unit R, Baser, Kansas 66007. And the owner would also like to request a 30-day holdover to evaluate the staff report more that we received this morning and work with staff to meet their conditions much closer than where we're at currently. So if the commission would grant, we would request a 30-day holdover.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Looks like it's going to be a busy January. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Anyone turn up tonight to speak on this case? Seeing none, we'll go to Director Hannah, get his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is a special use permit for a private rodeo. This is in the Plan KCK South Midtown area. Staff received no letters of support, excuse me, no letters in opposition. There are some notices of violation on the property for structures without permits. Staff was going to recommend denial, but we're amenable to a 30-day holdover.
All right, thank you. Questions for staff? Commissioner Ernst?
Not because January is busy, but this would be a great thing, but there seem to be a lot of obstacles. Is 30 days enough to work through them to maybe give them a chance to make it work?
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. We had actually held this over a couple of months prior to this hearing, waiting for conservation district comments, which we think would be critical for a proposed use like a rodeo. Conservation district is woefully behind on a lot of comments. We have been unable to get in touch with them. So I'd like to say we should continue it for another 90 to see if conservation district comes in, but I don't think they're coming in, to be honest with you. And we're not 100% sure why.
Even in 90 days?
It's been 90 days that
Okay.
we've waited. So already. So I think 30 days so that the applicant can work with us to try to see if we can get some more detail about what's going on in this rodeo. And then address that should be enough. And we can hope that conservation district comments come in. We can live without them and condition, right? Like, for instance, this case currently has those, whatever they may be, conditions of approval for the conservation district as a condition. So we can handle it that way and hope they come in eventually, but I'm just making the point that we've already basically held this off the docket, planning commission docket, waiting for those comments for about 90 days already.
So you think 30 days will get you?
30 days to talk to the applicant about the proposed use specifically and try to get us off denial, it sounds like, is fine with us.
All right. So in opposition of the normal saying, this ain't my first rodeo, this is my first rodeo, so I
This is our
would
first
go ahead and
rodeo,
go with
yes.
were you expecting something?
Well, I mean, American Royal technically will be our first rodeo,
right.
so this is our
Thank you.
second.
Commissioner Ernst?
This is not our first rodeo, Jeff. We've been through some of this before. I'll hold it over for 30 days and I won't let the absence of conservation hold it up at the end of that.
Thank you. Motion for 30-day holdover, special use application 2024-066 made by Commissioner Ernst. Is that a second, Commissioner Easterwood?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to hold over SP 2024-066 until the January 13, 2025 meeting passes. 7 in favor, none opposed.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thompson. We'll see you next month.
Our next application is special use permit SP 106. Travis Gunter, special use permit for an emergency group home and event space for Foster Adopt Connect at 901 North 8th Street. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, the notice in the Wyandotte Echo, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gunter. I've got you queued up, ready to speak. Your name and address, please.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. Travis Gunter, with Veritas Architecture and Design. Do you want business address or personal address?
I'm sorry?
Business or personal address?
I'm sorry, I still didn't catch what you said.
Are you looking for personal address?
Oh, just give us an address for the record, please. Business address.
707 North 6th Street, Kansas City, Kansas, 66101.
All right, thank you. Sorry. Go ahead, please.
Come before you tonight with 2 special permit requests representing Foster Adopt Connect. Tom Pruden, the Chief Business Officer for Foster Adopt Connect, is also on the call. If there are any operations questions related to the requests. Is my audio all right?
It's in and out. So you're wanting to get a special use permit for an emergency group home and event space for Foster Adopt at 901 North 8th, correct?
Correct.
Is this something that you've operated before? Is this a new request, new application?
This is a new request for both.
All right. Anything you want to add before we go on?
Foster Adopt Connect is a 501c3 nonprofit operating as a social service organization supporting foster care training and support. The requests are in support of that. One, the youth drop-in center, and second, the event space for staff training.
Okay, and as far as the group home, how many people will reside there, as far as residents and then staff?
We're looking at a max occupancy of 16. The intent for this, the Youth Connect program that they operate, is more of a drop-in center and the overnight accommodations are just there as an emergency function. So we don't expect to have standard overnight stay in the building, just as an emergency component was the need for the special use permit request.
All right, thank you. Questions for the applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, raise your hand if you're online or come to the microphone. Seeing none, we'll go to Director Hand, get comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Again, this is a special use permit for both a group home and event space for the foster adopt. This is in the downtown area plan. Staff received no letters in support, no letters in opposition. There are no notices of violation on this property. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
All right, thank you. Questions for Director Hand? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion when ready. Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve, I lost my place, special use permit 2024-106, subject to staff stipulations and comments.
Thank you. Motion for approval of SP 2024-106 made by Commissioner Jones. Is that a second? Commissioner Ernst, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to recommend approval of SP 2024-106 for 2 years, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor and none opposed.
Thank you. This will be heard once again on January 9th before the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Gunner.
Thank you.
That takes us to our plat application, plat 2024-036, Austin Thompson, preliminary and final plat to create 2 lots at 6801 Wood Inn Avenue. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case: the city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application, other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose on this application?
No.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Name and address.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Caleb Phillips of the law firm Spencer Fane. The address at issue here is 7552 State Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas 66112. I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner, and I'm intending to play second fiddle to the engineering firm, which may be online. I'd ask Mr. Chairman if you wouldn't mind taking a look to see if the engineering firm appears on the online screen.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Is
Austin Thompson, does he need to be queued up to speak? There he is. Got him. Go ahead, Austin. Mr. Thompson, I think I've got you queued up. There we go.
Sorry, I believe this gentleman that's at the podium is for the next case, the 7552.
That's right. You're 755. That I was getting confused myself. So you
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
So wait a minute.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Austin Thompson.
Hang on one second, Mr. Thompson. So you're here for 7552 State Avenue, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, you're next.
My apologies.
That's all right. I just got a little thrown off. I was thinking we jumped ahead one. Okay, Mr. Thompson, you're back up.
My slides.
All right.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Austin Thompson. I'm with Atlas Lane Consulting, 14500 Parallel Road, Unit R, Baser, Kansas 66007. And what the owner is looking to do, this is a grandfather and grandson. And what they're doing is they want to split off 9 acres in the northwest corner of about a 50-acre parcel so that the grandson and his wife can build a home next to his grandfather. So I can answer any questions that you guys may have, but that's what they're looking to do.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I do apologize. I forgot to make note of something in the record. We received a written document today from Jeremiah Rogers, who is in opposition to this application. And it says, my name is on the deed for this parcel and the contiguous parcel. I have operated a business on these two parcels since 1996. A portion of the operations are on both parcels and have been since 1962. I oppose this action as it would divide my operations down the middle, potentially causing future disputes. I oppose as an owner of the business on my land, disruptive to future room to grow my recycling goals. It could change the usage of the land in the future as a minimum of frontage rule of city for AG use. The creation of these lots would potentially lead to legal action to protect my interest and embroil the unified government unnecessarily. Thank you for your consideration. Mr. Chairman, I might add that it's staff's understanding that this letter is from the son of the gentleman that's wanting to do this.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we've heard from Mr. Thompson. Let's go ahead. Mr. Thompson, can you comment on any of the ownership?
From my understanding, it is a Joe Rogers, and then there's an LLC. I don't have the list of names that are under the LLC. I would assume it's the gentleman that was just, he's one of the owners that was just, that Ms. Parker just read. We did have a run-in with him. One of our survey crews did have a run with him on site, and we were completing the field work for the survey. He did ask us to leave. We did speak to the family member that did hire us, which was the grandfather and the grandson. They did let us know that they were going to handle that side of things. And so they asked us to move forward.
All right, Janet, could you repeat the name of the person on the letter, please?
Yes, it is Jeremiah K. Rogers.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to the public. Anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition, please come forward. Yes, sir, go ahead. Give us your name and address, please.
I'm Jeremiah Rogers.
Okay.
6700 County Line Road.
Okay, go
Kansas
ahead.
City, Kansas. I wrote that letter last week and I didn't get it here. I talked to Gunter on Friday and I spoke with another person on the phone last Thursday. So yeah, my business, the property line, 6700 County Line Road and 6801 are 62 acres. One large property has two different parcels. So the water one line runs right down the middle of it. That runs right down the middle of my operations. And so for convenience sake, I'm assuming that they want to divide the two properties at that 49 acres down where I built two ponds and then the 13 acres up above. Yeah, right where he's got the cursor. Well, it's right behind that portion. Yeah, that's my base of operations. And see that pink line that would run? That's the pond I built 2 years ago. That pink line is where they want to divide the operations. My father's old. I had no idea this was even happening. I run citywide tree service out of there since 1997. My neighbor gave me the information that they got the letter. I never even got a letter from the city saying that this was going to happen.
Okay, and what relation are you to Joe Rogers?
That is my father.
Okay,
That is the person that I took over the business in 1997 and the payments. I made all the payments on the farm.
okay, and what about William Carmody?
That is his partner. He's 98 years old too. I don't know if he's wanting to sell his interest on it or what. I don't talk to them.
Okay, so William Carmody is the partner to Joe Rogers.
Correct.
All right,
In an separated. Yeah, they're both partners on both pieces of property.
Okay, and then where, you're saying you have an ownership interest or you're on the
Yeah,
deed?
well, yeah, I took over the payments in 1997. The deed was supposed to be transferred to me from the original purchase in 1980.
But that,
Of the $300,000, I made $180,000 of the payments on them. And I have a business license to operate out of there. I don't want them to separate the land.
okay, but you're, as far as you as an owner, what do
Mhm.
you have to prove that you're an owner to stand before us tonight?
The registered of deeds. I don't know what you need. I can't believe they didn't do a,
Do you have anything in your possession right now that has the
don't.
deed? Because what we're looking at
Mm-mm.
shows the owners of record are the William Carmody Trust and Joe
and
Rogers.
not Belcher. I don't know what this Belcher farm is. I don't know what any of this stuff is.
Well, it says it's regarding Belcher Farms. I don't know if that, is that the legal
I
description on the
can't
property?
see it.
Would Belcher Farms be the legal description or the business or?
It's an unplatted, currently unplatted piece of land, so when you plat it, you have to name it, so they just named it. And
Oh.
again, effectively, they're just carving out this square in the northwest corner of,
Yeah, there's 50 cows down there on all that there. All the way to the Black Swan Lake Dam. It's leased out. And chip piles and, but the ponds.
Okay, so what else would you have, do you want to add? Because I've got a couple of other people that are going
No,
to speak
that's
and
all.
maybe they'll give us some clarification.
Thank
Okay,
you very
go ahead and have a seat. I'm going to go now to Tabor Belcher. Or Tabor Belcher.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead and give us your name and address, please.
Hey, good evening. Tabor Belcher, 6900 Alden Street, Shawnee, Kansas, 66216. So I'm the one that reached out to Austin and Atlas Consulting for this. This has been a long process with my grandfather, Joe Rogers, and Will Carmody. With them exclusively. I didn't know any of the rest of this mentioned, but I have an agreement between my grandfather, Joe Rogers, and Bill Carmody, who is the owner of the LLC, the trust that owns the other portion. And I've worked with them exclusively for this. And so I just wanted to make that known.
All right, so you're the one that's made the request for the application on
Yes, sir,
behalf
correct.
of Mr. Rogers or Mr. Carmody.
Yes, sir, correct.
And are you aware of an ownership dispute?
I have seen the deeds and the names on the deeds being my grandfather and the LLC, and that was the farthest I went with it, just to verify those names.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir, that's all I have.
All right, thank you. I'm now going to go to person listed on the call as iPhone. Person online called iPhone. I need you to unmute yourself, please, and give us your name and address. iPhone. You just put your hand up. Person named online named iPhone. I need you to unmute yourself, please, and give us your name. Okay, we're going to move on then. So, anybody else that wants to speak in favor or in opposition to this case, raise your hand or come forward. All right, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public portion of the meeting. I'm going to go to Director Hand. I'm probably going to have some questions for legal. Go ahead. Director Hand.
thank you, Mr. Chair, Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Urban Design. Again, this is a plat for 2 lots in the planned KCK Turner area. Staff received no letters in support. The letter in opposition that was submitted into the record this evening, and there are no notices of violation on the property. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
All right, I want to go to legal counsel with regard to the ownership dispute. What are our options here? I want to go back real quick. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and give iPhone one more chance to unmute yourself and speak. If not, we're going to have to move on. iPhone, you need to unmute yourself and give us your name and address. Okay, we're going to move on. Going to go back to legal counsel, Mr. Farley.
Mike Farley, legal counsel. Mr. Chairman, may I ask planning a couple
Sure,
questions?
of course.
All right, this is for whoever might be able to answer, whether it's Director Hand or Ms. Parker. In terms of verifying the ownership of the property when the legal description was published, where did you look? Or how did we verify the applicant versus the ownership?
James Malloy, Planning and Urban Design. So typically when an application is first submitted, if we notice the applicant's name is different than what is listed on our property record card, we'll usually look for a property owner consent form, which is in the application. In this case, when staff did the initial check of that, we saw that the listed owners had signed that property owner's consent form. Beyond that, typically the assigned planner would, if there were any potential disputes, the assigned planner would look on, would search the Register of Deeds database to, verify any information or check on any disputes.
Mike Farley, legal counsel. So James, sorry, who was the applicant though? Who was the initial applicant for?
Listed, give me 1 second, I can pull
Because
up.
I see Austin Thompson is listed as the applicant
Yeah, I can
on the
pull
staff
that
report,
up.
but I understand that that's not typically.
Yeah,
might
I
not
can
be
search
always
that up, but I believe it was, sorry, give me 1 moment here. Yep, so we have Austin Thompson listed as the applicant with property owner Joe Rogers. And then on the signed and notarized property owner consent form, we have Joe Rogers signing as the property owner.
So is Mr. What's the second name?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
if I could,
Yes.
I've looked up this application in the electronic folder. We have a title report that was done by Alliance Nationwide Title Agency, and it lists Joe K. Rogers and William Carmody Trust as the persons that acquired and own the property.
Okay, so then there's no other recorded interest on the property by anyone else.
I'm just looking at the title report right now. They bought the property from Dorothy West in 2013 and recorded it January 25th, 2013. And there are no liens on the property. This report was done.
No affidavits of equitable interest or anything like that filed?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. Gunnar, any further comment that you have?
Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Everything that staff has seen on this has the two named property owners associated with that LOP, be it the property card, the database that we review for the record of deeds, and the submitted title report. So.
All right.
Do you want to see a copy of the affidavit of equitable interest?
But it's not been recorded, correct?
With the receipt.
Gunnar,
With the Kansas City, Kansas receipt.
all right, well, I'm gonna have you stand back over the microphone. I'm gonna have Gunnar take a look at that and then can we? Because that's what I asked you for earlier, if you had anything that showed you had ownership.
I'd say regardless, property disputes are not the business of the unified government. Sounds like we have one here. I would recommend that we hold this over and let them deal with it.
All right. Questions for staff? Legal, do you want to weigh in on anything or are you good?
Nope, nothing else. I agree with Director Hand's assessment. We need to rely on what the Register of Deeds says. I mean, that's the best that we can do as the county. If there are any disputes, it's up to commission's discretion on how they want to address it.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Ernst?
It seems to be what I do. 30-day holdover, please.
All right, motion has been made for a 30-day holdover by Commissioner Ernst. Is there a second to that motion? Commissioner Jones, is that a second?
Yes.
Thank you. So the motion is made for a 30-day holdover excuse me, I've lost my case. I've got it. Plat 2024-036, so that we can make get an ownership determination made. Is there a discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller, Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, the motion to hold over this plat until the January 13, 2025 meeting regarding the ownership question passes 7 in favor, none opposed.
All right, we'll see everybody on the 13th, and hopefully we'll have some additional answers and supporting documentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, our last item on our last application is Plan Review Application PR 2024-036, Gerald Menifee. Final development plan to expand an existing gas station and C-store at 7552 State Avenue. Please include the following items as part of the record for this case. The city's currently adopted zoning and subdivision regulations, the official zoning map for the area in question, the city's currently adopted master plan for the area in question, the staff report and attachments dated December 9, 2024, the application and other documents, plans, pictures, and maps submitted by the applicant in furtherance of the case and contained in the official file, and the notices to property owners. Does any member of the commission have any contact to disclose with regard to this case?
No.
No.
Thank you.
First off, my apologies. We called the one case, we put up a slide for your case, and so I apologize for the confusion, but it was our fault. So thank you. So thank you for bearing with us.
My apologies as
All right,
well.
let's start all over with your name and address again.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Caleb Phillips of the law firm Spencer Fane. I'm here representing 7-Eleven, who's the property owner, 7-Eleven Inc. The property address is 7552 State Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas 66112. And again, Mr. Chairman, I would defer to CAM Engineering or Jerry Menifee if either of them are present with us today. I'm not sure if they are, and I just request to see.
Mr. Menifee is. Did you want him to go ahead and speak?
Yes, I'll
All
give
right.
him the floor.
Mr. Menifee, I've got you queued up, ready to speak. If you'd start off with your name and address and tell us about this project. Mr. Menifee.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. My name is Gerald Menifee. My address is 6811 North Michigan Avenue, Gladstone, Missouri. And I'm the applicant and also the engineer for the site. As I understand it, the most recent changes in the site have been the addition of a sidewalk running from the front of the building out to State Avenue, as well as some remarking of the parking area to get us up to 25 spaces, as well as a note on the landscaping drawing to replace a dead tree that was noted on a review of the site by the city. All the requirements of the site review done by the city we're in agreements with, and we're willing to go ahead to final approval on it.
Okay, so at the end of the day, you're redoing a convenience store, correct?
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you. Any questions for this applicant? Mr. Phillips, is there anything you wanted to add?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just note that this has been operating as a convenience store for quite some time, since 2015. It was originally approved pursuant to a preliminary development plan. All the permits were granted, and I think there was an oversight and there was no final development plan put in place back in 2015. Really what we're trying to do here today, Mr. Chairman, is to correct that error and address any concerns that the Planning Commission may have.
All right, so we're cleaning things up.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. Any questions for this applicant? Seeing none, anyone in the audience want to speak to this case in favor or in opposition? Seeing none, we'll go to Director Hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gunnar Hand, Director of Planning and Design. Yes, again, this is the final development plan for a 7-Eleven on State Avenue. It is somewhat of a, we'll call it retroactive approval. This is in the Plain KCK area, Midtown neighborhood. Staff received no letters of support, no letters in opposition. There were some notices of violation. It was constructed in the teens. It had a franchisee running it. That franchisee left it. Now 7-Eleven is picking it up to run it themselves. In between that gap, there was some NOVs for, trash and weeds and things of that nature, which would have been addressed. The applicant has since closed their building permit from the original construction, got their business license, started working on starting operation. This is really just doing the final paperwork that was never done back then and should have been, which is a final development plan. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll stand for a motion. Commissioner Ernst.
I will resist the temptation to hold it over
Thank you.
and move that the Kansas City Planning Commission approve petition PR 2024-036, subject to staff stipulations.
Thank you. That motion for approval is made by Plan Review Application 2024-036 by Commissioner Ernst and seconded by Commissioner Jones. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to approve PR 2024-036, subject to the conditions in the staff report, passes 7 in favor, none opposed.
I'm sorry, and does this go forward?
No, sir.
Will not. All right, thank you. We are done.
No, we're not.
No, I'm.
I
Gentlemen.
have one more item.
Right, but I'm done with this gentleman.
Okay.
All right, so you're right and I'm right.
Look, I'm just excited that we passed something here. So, well, the last item on the agenda is consideration of the 2025 and 2026 deadlines calendar that I distributed to you.
Yes.
And I need a motion for approval.
Is there a motion for approval on the deadline schedule submitted by Janet? Commissioner Jones.
Motion to approve the deadlines calendar submitted by Jen.
All right. Motion to approve the deadline calendar as submitted. Is there a second? Commissioner Easterwood has the second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, could I have a caveat to that approval, subject to any necessary changes by staff? Because if they move a Board of Commissioners meeting or whatever, we'll have to revise the deadlines.
All right. Is that okay with the maker of the motion, Commissioner Jones, and the maker of the second, Commissioner Easterwood? I'm getting nods, so that is, yes, subject to change as required due to other meetings that could conflict, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ward,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Easterwood,
Aye.
Ernst,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Moeller.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, that motion to approve the deadlines calendar for the next 2 years passes 7 in favor, none opposed.
Thank you. Janet, we did have there was probably a violation of the Meetings Act, but we did discuss your retirement offline, and I do not have any support from the commissioners on your retirement, so that we may have to alter that schedule.
Well, let me just say this about that. I'm already redrawing. I've drawn 3 Social Security checks. I have submitted my paperwork for my capers. And there's no turning back once you submit your paperwork to capers.
Well, I guess we can't argue with the government then.
Nope.
All
You
right.
guys have just worn me out. I gotta retire after 50 years and 3 months.
All right. So your last meeting will be next month. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I'm gonna come down in the commission chamber and be there in person.
All right. We would love to see you all here next month for Janet's last meeting after 50 years and 3 months. All right. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mueller, you still on here?
Yes, I am.
I